professional maintenance of nuclear submarines and reactors, refurbishment, polishing, and waxing of nuclear warheads. Recycling of used aircraft carriers, cleaning of aircraft carrier oil tanks, and production of various missiles. Surface maintenance and dust removal of high-altitude space shuttles. Wholesale of J-10, J-15, and F-22 fighter jets year-round, with large and favorable quantities, invoices, mortgage support, 3-year warranty, and airplane rearview mirrors. There is such a repair shop in Linhai City, and the advertising slogans posted on the roadside are popular all over the internet, being ridiculed by netizens. Until one day, an undercover female special forces soldier accidentally entered this shop, discovered the young shop owner's superb skills, and reported it to the military district. On that day, the advertising slogan was directly encrypted by the national S.level. The next day, at the entrance of the small shop, armored vehicles roared, and the large army led the way. Military leaders rushed in, and even the commander-in-chief of the war zone personally came to invite them. Master Lin, 1 billion yuan, to repair a military satellite. Will you take on this task? Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Binding System, Seeking Flowers. Seeking Comments. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The third teaching building of Linhai University. Computer Science Classroom. Lin Qing is a senior this year and it's time for her internship. The counselor held a class meeting today. There aren't many people in the classroom, only a dozen or so. Most of them are looking for jobs outside or are already interning. In fact, the main purpose of this class meeting is for the counselor to explain to everyone the direction and precautions for finding a job. But the class meeting hasn't started yet. At this moment, a fat man wearing glasses ran in, sweating profusely. When I came in, I was shocked and said, "It's really hard for the recumbent brothers to find jobs now. I have sent resumes to several companies, and only one company replied to me. I went to work for a day yesterday and only asked me to stand next to the photocopier to copy documents. I went to do this because I have learned programming in his mother's university for so many years. I ran away after work." Puff. Ha ha ha, Zhang Fatty, you actually worked all day. If it were me, I would have run away at that time. Ha ha ha. As soon as Zhang Su cursed, the classroom burst into laughter. But soon it quieted down again. Because not only Zhang Su encountered this situation, they were also the same. Either the job is not right, or it's not being applied for. At that moment, the counselor walked in and smiled, saying, "What happened just now? I heard your laughter from a long distance. Why is it so quiet now? Is it like when I saw a teacher in high school or junior high school, I became quiet?" The counselor asked with a smile, and Zhang Su spoke up about the situation. Other classmates also followed suit and said, "It's too difficult to find a job now. I've submitted resumes to several companies, but they haven't replied to me. I did have a company reply, but they replied that they don't want interns anymore." Zhang Pengzi's situation reminds me of last year when there was a senior in our major who also worked as a laborer for a company during an internship. It seemed like he was doing document transfer and storage to a hard drive. After 3 months of internship and becoming a regular employee, he was still doing that. I don't know how things are now. Yeah, it's too difficult to find a job. Either you're doing something wrong with your major, or you just don't want it. If I had known I should have chosen a preschool teacher major in the beginning, it would have been easier for a man to find a job while studying as a preschool teacher, and there are also many girls. It's not like being alone all the time now. Sigh. The students in the classroom were completely disheartened by the internship work. The counselor felt anxious when she saw this scene. These are all his students. The students are starting to feel discouraged when they can't find a job. He naturally became anxious in his heart. But in reality, even a good student like Zhang Su who receives scholarships every year cannot find a job, let alone others. Lin Qing. The counselor quickly looked at a handsome young man and smiled, asking, "How have you been looking for a job?" Lin Qing is the class monitor, ranking first in both academic performance and character. He is exceptionally outstanding. If Zhang Su is a good student, then Lin Qing is a top student. It's not too easy for someone like this to find a good job. So the counselor wants to give everyone some hope through Lin Qing. As soon as Lin Qing mentioned a similar job, he immediately praised it and said, "Look, isn't this someone finding a job? Work is still easy to find, you guys just don't work hard on a regular basis." After the counselor said these words, more than 10 people in the classroom looked at Lin Qing. Because Lin Qing is really outstanding among them. So they also want to know if Lin Qing has found a job, and if he does, what kind of job it will be. Found it, Lin Qing stood up and smiled. The counselor's face showed a smile. "You didn't disappoint me as expected." But other classmates heard Lin Qing say they had found a job and asked before the counselor could speak. "Lin Dashan, what kind of job have you found?" "I am truly Lin Dashan. All the resumes I submitted are like sinking rocks into the sea." "Lin Dashan, is your company still short of people? If so, could you tell your supervisor that I also want to go?" Zhang Su, the chubby guy, interjected. "Hey. All right, said the counselor. He glanced at Zhang Su. He saw what Zhang Su meant. This school can also be considered a prestigious school. With talents like Lin Qing, the company he entered with his vision and achievements is definitely one of the Fortune Global 500. Zhang Su wanted to take advantage of Lin Qing's light and also want to enter. Thinking of this, the smile on the counselor's face became even stronger. After all, Lin Qing is his student. If he were to enter a Fortune 500 company, he would also have face. So he asked, "Which company do you work for, Lin Qing?" Other classmates also looked at Lin Qing, and their thoughts were the same as those of the counselor. They all believed that Lin Qing was among the Fortune Global 500 because his abilities and vision were there. "I didn't join the company," Lin Qing shook his head. "Ah. Didn't you join the company? So how do you say you found a job?" "Yeah." The classmates are all puzzled. The counselor was also puzzled. Faced with the puzzled gaze of everyone, Lin Qing smiled. He naturally guessed what the counselor wanted to do by mentioning his name alone. "Unfortunately, I am going to disappoint him. I plan to start my own business," Lin Qing said. Sleeping slot. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was stunned for a moment. Immediately, a sound erupted. "Wow! You truly deserve to be Lin Dashan, start your own business. I can't tell that Lin Dashan is still a wealthy second generation. Is Lin Dashan company still short of people? I can do it. I can do it too. Please hold on to your thighs." Many students want to join Lin Qing's company. After all, finding a job is so difficult now. If a student wants to start a company, they naturally want to go in. The counselor also looked at Lin Qing in surprise. "I didn't expect Lin Qing to want to start his own business. Does entrepreneurship not require capital? Where did Lin Qing get the money? According to his enrollment information, doesn't he seem to be a wealthy second generation?" The counselor was puzzled and looked at Lin Qing. "Lin Qing, what company are you planning to start?" "I don't run a company," Lin Qing smiled and said, "I'll just rent a storefront and do some maintenance work." As soon as these words were spoken, the whole classroom immediately fell silent. The next moment. Pushi. I don't know who laughed, but then many people laughed. "I thought you were running a company, but I didn't expect you to rent a storefront for repairs." The counselor also froze. But after they laughed, they all calmed down again and were worried about their work. Even people like Lin Qing are forced by job hunting to rent a storefront and do phone and computer repairs. Not to mention them. They thought Lin Qing was forced by work. But in fact, Lin Qing's maintenance has great benefits. And the things he has repaired are not ordinary things. Lin Qing didn't say much anymore. He packed his backpack and left his seat. The counselor saw that Lin Qing was leaving and asked, "Why are you going?" He originally thought he could lend Lin Qing some hope to other classmates. "I didn't expect even Lin Qing to be forced to work like this and have to rent a storefront for repairs." "Go rent a storefront and prepare to open," Lin Qing said. The counselor's face turned black. Is it ridiculous to say that a programming major is renting a storefront to do phone and computer repairs? He advised, "Lin Qing, don't rush to conclusions. Look for a job slowly, and you will always find a good job. The same goes for you." He spoke to Lin Qing and then to others. Lin Qing shook his head and said, "Class leader, I have already made a decision." After speaking, Lin Qing left, leaving behind a counselor who looked stunned and unable to accept, and a classmate who looked at each other. Is Lin Dashan really fake? Do you really want to rent a storefront for repairs? Judging from his attitude, it should be true. I didn't expect even Lin Dashan to be forced to do this by job hunting. The voices of the classmates were not loud, but they all reached the ears of the counselor. The counselor looked at Lin Qing's departure and thought to himself, "No, we can't let Lin Qing continue like this. We must find him a reliable job, even if we use all my connections." Even an excellent student like Lin Qing couldn't find a job. If this were to be spread, wouldn't it make his class leader seem useless? Chapter 2. Small Advertisements. Begging for flowers. Begging for. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Qing didn't know that the class supervisor was preparing to find him a job. He walked out of school and muttered to himself, "System, open the properties panel." A virtual panel appears in front of me. Divine level maintenance owner. Lin Qing physical strength. 8, normal value of 10, speed. 7, normal value 10, strength. 7, normal value 10, level. Basic maintenance and repair technology number of points. 0 status. The store is not open. Seeing this virtual panel, Lin Qing smiled on her face. He is not from this world, but has traveled through it. Lived for 20.1 years. The system finally appeared yesterday. This system claims to be a divine level maintenance system. From small phones and electronic watches to large fighter aircraft carriers. And it can also add special attributes to repaired items, such as precision attributes to sniper guns and defense attributes to aircraft carriers. But the fees are expensive. But Lin Qing thought that as long as someone has repaired this thing once and tasted the sweetness, it will definitely become a repeat customer, and it will also attract more people. So he decided to do it. Putting away the attribute panel, Lin Qing murmured, "Let's rent a storefront first, and then print the advertisement." The system displays an unopened status, which requires Lin Qing to create a storefront before the system can be considered officially opened. The housing prices in Linhai City may or may not be high, but they are also not low. Lin Qing is not a wealthy second generation either. The hard money he has saved through frugality in recent years is only over 2,000 yuan, and he also needs to deduct advertising expenses and living expenses for a period of time in the future. Finally, we can only afford to rent one basement in the basement. There are no windows either. A light bulb the size of a ping-pong ball hangs above, emitting a dim yellow light. The walls around were not even painted with white putty, they were still casually painted with cement. This place used to be used as a warehouse by people. 300 yuan per month, with 1 deposit and 3 payments. Lin Qing cleaned up and went to the second-hand market to find a table to put in. He also took 3 boards with him, intending to make a sign. What should I write? Lin Qing pondered for a moment. I immediately had a train of thought. He picked up a marker and wrote on 3 wooden boards one by one. Everything can be repaired in a shop. This is the store name, arrogant and ruthless. Subsequently, Lin Qing wrote a rhyme-like couplet on 2 other signs. Heavenly repair fighter, setting sail to repair aircraft carriers. After finishing writing, Lin Qing took a nail and nailed the wooden board to the door and the walls on both sides. Got it. Lin Qing clapped her hands. Ding. The store is open. Reward the owner with an opening point gift pack. And at that moment, a voice rang in my ear. Lin Qing looked at his wooden signboard and smiled bitterly. It's open, but will anyone come in this environment? A basement repair shop is somewhat unreliable, isn't it? Forget it. We've all done this step, let's just leave it to fate. Lin Qing didn't think about it anymore. But let the system open the big gift package and see how many points there are inside. Ding. Congratulations to the master for obtaining points plus 10. Points can be used to add attributes to repaired items, such as precision attributes on sniper rifles. It can also be used to purchase modification technology, such as using points to purchase weapon modification technology. Lin Qing already knows this. It can be said that points are a good thing. Only after repairing the item can points be obtained. And the number of points obtained varies depending on the level of the repaired item. For example, repairing advanced components such as aircraft carriers and submarines can naturally earn more points. It's only 10 o'clock. Lin Qing pursed her lips. I think this gift package is really stingy. But he didn't think much about it either. He still has to go and do the next thing. Make a billboard. Lin Qing came to the advertising store and prepared to make a billboard and put it outside. After all, in the basement, people passing by the community cannot see his wooden signboard. When Lin Qing asked about the price, any type of billboard would cost several hundred yuan. Lin Qing is in a difficult position. I didn't expect it to be so expensive. But at this moment, he saw a small advertising sticker next to him. I asked about the price, and it only costs 2 yuan per sheet. He had to compromise and choose small advertising stickers. Handsome guy, what does the advertisement say? Sure, a man wearing glasses looked up and asked Lin Qing what the advertisement was about. Lin Qing thought for a moment, and if you were to write about maintenance and upkeep in a regular manner, no one would come. After all, not many people now believe in these ubiquitous small advertisements. Why don't we just use the sword to go off guard and exaggerate a bit? Thinking of this, Lin Qing said, that. Let me fight. Line. The shop assistant stood up without any objections and handed it over to Lin Qing. Lin Qing sat down and tapped the keyboard with a clattering sound. Professional maintenance of nuclear submarines and reactors, refurbishment, polishing, and waxing of nuclear warheads. Recycling of used aircraft carriers, cleaning of aircraft carriers' oil tanks, and production of various missiles. Surface maintenance and dust removal of high-altitude space shuttles. Wholesale of J-10, J-15, and F-22 fighter jets year-round, with large quantities and preferential treatment, invoices, mortgage support, 3-year warranty, and aircraft rearview mirrors. Chapter 3. Fishing posts, seeking flowers. Seeking evaluation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What? The shop assistant's eyes widened when they saw what Lin Qing had written. Although he knows that many people tend to exaggerate the content when making such small advertisements, such as treating kidney deficiency through ancestral traditions, treating hemorrhoids, and following the treatment. But no matter how exaggerated it is, it's not as exaggerated as Lin Qing. Even fighter jets, nuclear submarines, and aircraft carriers can be repaired. You're so awesome, why are you still here? Would you still choose to do such small advertisements? He coughed and couldn't help but say, handsome guy, you're bragging too much. Hee hee. You don't understand, I'm not bragging. Anyway, if you have something to fix for me later, you'll know. Lin Qing smiled and didn't explain anything more. He provided the address and contact number and asked the salesperson to take it for printing. The shop assistant didn't say much when he saw Lin Qing going his own way. He smiled helplessly and took it for printing. As for what Lin Qing said, he didn't take it seriously. Soon, the small advertisement was printed. 20 in total, 40 yuan. Lin Qing took it and posted it. Lin Qing selected several sidewalks and posted small advertisements on street lamp posts and trash cans. But at this moment, Lin Qing had just put a small advertisement on the electric pole when a surprised voice rang from behind. Lin Qing. Lin Qing turned around and saw an acquaintance. Fong Lan, the recognized class flower in the class. She has a beautiful appearance, fair skin, and is wearing a white dress with a pair of white shoes under her feet. Oh, it's you, what a coincidence. Lin Qing smiled. Well, it's so coincidental. Fong Lan nodded, what are you doing? She just saw Lin Qing facing the electric pole and felt a bit familiar, so she walked over and didn't expect it to be really Lin Qing. Here, the store is opening and advertising is going on. Lin Qing pointed to the small advertisement posted on the electric pole, as well as the few remaining ones in her hand. Ban Hua Fong Lan's expression froze instantly. She didn't go to the class meeting this morning because she was already interning, but she heard her best friend talk about Lin Qing. After all, Lin Qing is so outstanding and famous in the class. But she didn't expect that Lin Qing was really going for repairs. Alright, I won't tell you anymore. I'm still going to post it. If you have any broken things in the future, come find me. The address is on the advertisement. Let's go. Lin Qing waved his hand and left, then went to the next sidewalk to put up advertisements. Fong Lan looked at Lin Qing's back and stood dumbfounded, unable to accept this matter. After all, Lin Qing is so excellent. She turned her head to look at the small advertisement posted by Lin Qing. Professional maintenance of nuclear submarines and reactors, refurbishment, polishing, and waxing of nuclear warheads. Recycling second-hand aircraft carriers, cleaning aircraft carrier oil tanks, and producing various types of missiles. Surface maintenance and dust removal for high-altitude operation of space shuttles. Wholesale of J-10, J-15, and F-22 fighter jets year-round, with preferential treatment for large quantities, invoices, mortgage support, 3-year warranty, and airplane rearview mirrors. This. Fong Lan didn't know what to say for a moment. She didn't expect Lin Qing's advertisement to write like this. Although you are excellent, you are not outstanding to this extent, are you? Who would believe such boasting? Unfortunately, such an excellent person, Fong Lan shook her head and said with some regret. Lin Qing posted it for 2 hours before finishing. Next, we'll wait for the fish to take the bait. Lin Qing murmured. Whether anyone will come or not is uncertain for Lin Qing. He did everything he could, and now it's up to fate. Chapter 4. Unexpected Results, Seeking Flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the next few days, Lin Qing remained in the store and didn't even go to school. Instead, the counselor called him and asked him to come back to school 5 days later. There was something to talk to him about. Lin Qing didn't take it seriously either. At this moment, on the sidewalk of Jiangxi Road, there was a beautiful woman wearing a duckbill cap. Walking with a worried face and a bad mood. Her name is Enron and she is a Special Forces soldier. I am currently carrying out an undercover mission. A group of overseas drug traffickers came to China and met with a group of domestic drug traffickers. She is currently undercover on the side of domestic drug traffickers and has been undercover for 7 months. The evidence has been collected almost. Just wait for them to make a deal, and they will be caught with all the stolen goods. But the communicator she used to communicate with the organization was broken. Once, she used a communicator to contact the organization and was almost discovered. She had to throw the communicator downstairs to escape the disaster. However, the communicator was damaged due to this. Without a communicator, they cannot contact the organization on the day of their transaction and cannot notify the organization of their trading location. This is likely to cause them to leave after trading. This also means that their efforts over the past 7 months have been in vain. Anren sat on a bench for pedestrians to rest, feeling depressed. What should I do? Anren leaned against the recliner and looked up at the shade-covered tree above, murmuring. This mission failed, and the efforts of the organization and myself over the past 7 months were all in vain, all because my communicator broke. She doesn't want this to happen. But this communicator is newly developed by the military. If it weren't for being thrown down from the 16th floor, it wouldn't have been damaged. It is impossible for anyone in the folk to know how to fix it, and it is impossible to find someone to fix it. The more Anren thinks, the more depressed she becomes. But suddenly, at this moment, she saw a small advertisement standing on the nearby utility pole, which was still new, as if it had just been posted. Why are there still people posting such small advertisements now? Anren frowned. Professional maintenance of nuclear submarines and reactors, refurbishment, polishing, and waxing of nuclear warheads. Recycling of used aircraft carriers, cleaning of aircraft carriers' oil tanks, and production of various missiles. Surface maintenance and dust removal of high-altitude space shuttles. Wholesale of J-10, J-15, and F-22 fighter jets in large quantities, with preferential policies, invoices, mortgage support, 3-year warranty, and airplane rearview mirrors. Puff. Blow it. Even reactors and aircraft carriers can be repaired. If it were so impressive, they would have been taken away by those old men from heavy industry technology long ago. Anren pursed her lips, completely disbelieving. However, when she saw this boastful advertisement, her depression relaxed a lot. But now I'm worried again. She looked at the small advertisement again. The address is room 002, building 2, Tianhe Community. It's not far from here. Seeing that it was not far from here, Anren suddenly had a desire to go and see. The dead horse is treated as a living horse doctor, but there's nothing we can do now, and this place is also close to here. Anren has decided to take a look. What if it can really be repaired? Anren arrived at Tianhe Community. I asked the security guard for the direction of Building 2 and then walked over. Come to Building 2. Anren walked around but didn't see any shops in room 002. I actually saw 2 convenience stores. Strange. Is the address on the small advertisement fake? Murmured Anren. At this moment, an old lady walked out of the hallway. Upon seeing the situation, Anren approached and asked, Auntie, do you know the house number for room 002 in these 2 buildings? Room 002. That's a basement, you can walk down this staircase and see it. Grandma pointed to the staircase leading to the basement in the hallway. Basement. Anren looked at the stairs leading to the basement, his expression somewhat stunned. Chapter 5. First Business. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thank you, Auntie. Anren walked on the stairs with suspicion. She doesn't trust that old lady very much. Because no one would open a shop in the basement. You can walk down the stairs and see room 001 on the left and room 002 on the right, and 3 wooden boards are nailed to the walls. You really opened the store in the basement. Anren was surprised, completely unaware. But at this moment, she noticed the words on the 3 wooden boards again. Repair fighter jets in the sky, repair aircraft carriers in the sea. Everything can be repaired in shops. This store is located in the basement, but isn't it too loud? And Ran was once again surprised and completely forgot that the content written on Lin Qing's advertisement was even bigger than this tone. This doesn't seem reliable at first glance. I was really in a hurry to seek medical attention, and I actually believed the content posted on the advertisement. Enron was so angry that he turned his head and left. Although it's not far away, if she goes back late, it will inevitably arouse suspicion from those drug dealers. So she's going back. After walking only 2 steps, she stopped again and turned to look at room 002. After hesitating for a moment, he walked down again and muttered, "Forget it, everyone has come here. Come in and take a look." Enron is a special forces soldier, and after training, she has confidence that she can handle even 4 or 5 men. So even if it's not a repair shop inside, she's not afraid of danger. And Ran knocked on the door. "Come in." A young voice came from inside. Anran pushed open the door and entered, only to see a handsome young man sitting on a chair with a table in front of him. And there are cement walls on all sides, not even white putty painted. A dim light bulb above the young man's head illuminated the surroundings very dimly. Besides, there is nothing left, extremely rudimentary. To put it bluntly, the prison cells are several times better than here. Nothing at all, the area is not even 20 square meters, where is this like a repair shop? Anran once again had the thought of turning her head and leaving. But at the moment of stepping out, I still held back. She walked towards Lin Qing. "Hello, what do you want to repair or maintain?" Lin Qing looked at Anran walking towards her and said to herself, "It's impossible not to get excited. After all, this is the first guest. Besides, he's running out of money, and if he doesn't have any more guests, he'll have to drink from the west and north. I want to fix this, I'm not sure if you know how to fix it." Since I decided to give it a try, Anran took out the communicator that had been broken by herself. It is a square white device that can be held by one hand, with only one red button on top. The shell appears to be made of alloy material with a crack. Ding! Scanning for items that need repair. The scan is completed, and it is a newly developed communication device by the *** military. You can purchase this repair technology and parts for 20,000 yuan. However, please note that the owner must pay for the repair expenses before purchasing, and other expenses cannot be purchased. After purchasing, it is recommended that the owner retail price is 40,000 yuan. A voice that only she could hear rang in her ear. Lin Qing took the communicator from her hand, looked at it, and asked, "How did it break?" "I broke it," Anran said. "This shell is made of special alloy to be sturdy and durable. Otherwise, falling from the 16th floor would not be just a crack, I'm afraid it would be torn apart." "What are you asking about this? Can you really fix it?" Anran frowned and asked. "I'm not saying if I know how to fix it, but rather asking this question. What's the use of knowing this?" Anran doesn't believe in Lin Qing, so her tone and attitude are a bit bad. "Can repair." Lin Qing nodded. "Is it true or not?" Anran asked in confusion, "Aren't you lying to me? This is the latest communication device developed by the military, and it is impossible for anyone in the civilian community to be able to repair it. Do you think you can repair it? What are you lying to?" Lin Qing looked up at her. "I can fix it, I promise I can fix it." After speaking, he extended 4 fingers. Anran frowned and looked at Lin Qing. She obviously didn't believe Lin Qing's words, but she wanted to see if he really knew how to fix them. "Okay, 400, right. I'll give it to you." Enron was about to take money from his pocket, but Lin Qing shook his head and said, "No, what I meant was 40,000. Chapter 6. Do you want to use attributes? You are listening at novelfull.audio. How much? Anran was stunned by the price and looked at Lin Qing. Why don't you go grab 40,000 yuan? Repairing something costs 40,000 yuan, what is the price range? Enron is completely unaware that this is the latest communication device developed by the military, and the repair technology is definitely not cheap. Reasonable prices are fair to all, Lin Qing said. After all, this is the price set by the system. Enran frowned and said, 40,000 yuan is something she can afford. After working as a special forces soldier for so many years, she has also saved around 100,000 yuan. But is this person really good at repairing it? Enran hesitated for a moment and said, okay, yes. But can we pay after it's fixed? If you fix it and give it back, you won't lose yourself. No way, Lin Qing refused, pay first and then repair it. You're joking, how can I buy repair technology if you don't give me the money? You. Enran was choked by these words and had never seen such a boss before. Okay. I'll give you the money. If you can't fix it, just wait. Enran is also enthusiastic. If Lin Qingxiu is not good, she will beat him up and ask him to return the money. Enran transferred the money to Lin Qing. Lin Qing received the money. A smile immediately appeared on the face. Okay, sit down and wait for a moment, Lin Qing said. Enran sat on a red plastic stool, his gaze fixed on Lin Qing, as if he was going to eat people. Lin Qing naturally saw it and guessed her thoughts, but he didn't care. After it was fixed, she would understand. Lin Qing purchased the maintenance technology and parts for this communicator from the system, and spent a total of 20,000 yuan. There was still 20,000 yuan left, which means he earned 20,000 yuan in one go. It's so delicious. Purchase successful. Lin Qing bent down and took out a toolbox from under the table. This toolbox was white and was a basic maintenance technology toolbox provided by the system. It contained the tools needed for maintenance. Moreover, only Lin Qing can open this toolbox, others cannot, and even cutting with an electric saw will not cause any harm. Lin Qing opened the toolbox and saw that there were some tools inside, and there were parts next to the communicator that needed to be replaced. He had bought them all for 20,000 yuan. Because Lin Qing is facing Enron, Enron cannot see the situation in the toolbox. However, seeing Lin Qing take out his toolbox, his cannibalistic gaze softened slightly, and he thought to himself that he finally looked like something. I only give you over 20 minutes, said Enran. She doesn't have much time. If she goes out for too long, it will arouse suspicion from that group of drug dealers. Don't worry. Lin Qing started dismantling the communicator. Quickly, it was dismantled and the cause of the malfunction was found. The signal transmission board is broken, Lin Qing said, only seeing a small piece of the circuit board crack open. Ah! What should we do then? Enran's face changed. She thought it was just a small problem, but she didn't expect that the signal transmitter board was broken. Is it necessary to replace the signal transmitter board? But how could there be such signal emission boards among the people? It's okay, I'll just replace it for you, Lin Qing said, unaware of Enran's thoughts. Do you have it? Enran was taken aback when he heard these words, but the next second, he saw Lin Qing take out a small circuit board from his toolbox, then remove the circuit board from his communicator and install it. Enran didn't know what to say, but she also saw that the circuit board removed from the communicator was indeed cracked. Treat a dead horse as a living horse, doctor. Enran thought to herself, not knowing if the circuit board installed by Lin Qing was useful, and she had no idea at all. After all, Lin Qing is too casual. Seemingly confident. Maybe it's just some kind of nonsense. Lin Qing tightened the last small screw and fixed the circuit board. But at this moment, the system sound rang out in his ear again. Master, you can also add attributes to this communicator. Oh. What attributes can this communicator add? Lin Qing asked in her heart to avoid causing any confusion for Enran. Suddenly, a virtual panel appeared in front of me. Item. K452 communicator, range plus, points, anti-fall strength plus, points, signal strength plus, points, you currently have 10 points. Chapter 7. Deception and Deception. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. 3 attribute points can be added. Lin Qing looked at the data panel in front of her. Yes, Master. You have 10 points, and all 3 attributes can be enhanced. I suggest you sell 1 point for 10,000 yuan. Well, I understand, Lin Qing thought to herself. Kuan Ran's heart tightened as she saw Lin Qing's hand movement stop. Shouldn't he be unable to fit in anymore? Anren thought to herself, thinking that Lin Qing had dismantled the signal transmission board and couldn't install it. Hey, what's wrong with you? Don't tell me you can't fix it anymore. Anren asked, clenching her fists. If Lin Qinggan doesn't fix it, it means he's just playing around and doesn't know how to fix it. Oh, not really. Lin Qing looked up and smiled at her. I suddenly thought, do you want another special service? Special service. Anren frowned and looked disgusted in her eyes. Lin Qing immediately explained, don't misunderstand, this is a legitimate repair shop. Will the legitimate repair shop be located in the basement? Anren remained silent. Lin Qing said again, the special service I'm talking about is to add something else to your communicator. There are 3 types. Battery life, anti-fall ability, and super strong signal ability. Which one do you want? What? Upon hearing these words, Anren's expression froze for a moment. I began to grit my teeth in my heart, thinking that Lin Qing was treating me like a fool and deceiving me. Surprisingly, he recommended 3 types of reinforcement devices for me to install. Who do you think you are? This is a new communication device developed by the military. This boasting is too much. If we could still install these, wouldn't the military install them earlier? Listen to him, what he said is like having such a device, even more powerful than the military. This is trying to deceive me again and again. Anren pondered in her heart, but on the surface, she didn't show it. Instead, she said, okay. You can install one for me. Anren wants to see how Lin Qing dresses up. If it's fake, let's see how he steps down. Okay, what kind do you want to play? Lin Qing asked. Just install a super strong signal, Anren said casually. No problem, my ultra-strong signal device has both strong and slightly weak levels. According to the level, how many levels do you want to strengthen the device to? 1 level costs 10,000 yuan, and the higher the level, the more expensive it is, and of course, the better the effect. Lin Qing smiled. Lin Qing did not say that he could add attributes to the item. If it spreads, he will definitely have to be caught and sliced. So let's talk about installing devices. And the number of attribute points added is also stated as the number of levels for this purpose. It is also convenient for customers to understand. 10,000 yuan per level. That is to say, 1 point costs 10,000 yuan. So expensive. Anren exclaimed in surprise. Is it expensive? This is a reasonable price, Lin Qing smiled. 1 point costs 10,000 yuan. And the points come from repairing the item, which will automatically reward the points. It's like wool growing on sheep. Earn and earn from the sheep. Anren hesitated for a moment. Okay. Then install a level 1 device for me. Enron mainly wants to see if Lin Qing really knows. If not, dare to deceive me with money one after another, I will let you know how powerful. Anren gritted her teeth and thought to herself, transferring another 10,000 yuan to Lin Qing. Good Lin Qing saw the transfer reminder and smiled on her face. Immediately, he placed the communicator in the toolbox to block Enron's line of sight. After all, if Enron saw that he had a super strong signal without adding anything, he would definitely have doubts. Put it in the toolbox and make sure Anren can't see it. Lin Qing wiped his hand on the communicator. A movement of thought. On the data panel, which line of the super strong signal in parentheses becomes 1? Immediately, a white light flashed across the communicator and disappeared, as if white light had never appeared before. "Alright, I'll install it for you." Lin Qing smiled at Ayn Rand and took out the communicator. Ayn Rand's expression froze. "Is that all right? How long has it been since then? Did you just install the device? Who are you fooling?" Ayn Rand thought to herself, and Lin Qing took out a new communicator case from the toolbox. Ayn Rand's eyes widened as she saw this scene. This is... She didn't expect that Lin Qing's toolbox had this communicator shell, and it was exactly the same. What's going on? How could he have the casing of this communicator? Ayn Rand was puzzled. Quickly, Lin Qing installed the shell and handed it to Ayn Rand. "Alright, your item has been repaired," Lin Qing smiled. Ding! Repair settlement. Congratulations to the master for obtaining points +5. Lin Qing's smile grew even stronger when she heard the sound in her ear. "I spent 1 point and earned 10,000 yuan. But now there are 5 more points. It's like making unlimited profits." Compared to Lin Qing, Ayn Rand couldn't understand why he had the casing of this communicator. This is impossible. Wait. Does he just have the same shell? I can't blame Ayn Rand for thinking so. This communicator is a military secret. It is impossible for the public to have accessories for this communicator. Therefore, the man must have the same shell, and the material must be different from that of the military. With this in mind, Ayn Rand returned to normal and looked at the communicator in his hand, saying calmly, "It's fixed, isn't it? I'll go out and give it a try. If it's not fixed, just wait for me." Chapter 8. Breaking Wealth and Avoiding Disasters. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Ayn Rand looked full of anger and openly threatened, but on the contrary, she was a bit cute. In her subjective perception, Lin Qing dared to deceive her with money one after another. "Is that all? If the experiment doesn't work well, let me teach you a lesson." "Sure, please do as you please." Lin Qing smiled and didn't pay attention to Ayn Rand's threat. One reason is that his shop is located in the basement, which does make people feel unreliable. The second thing is that the things have already been repaired, and Ayn Rand will have nothing to say. Upon hearing Lin Qing's words, Ayn Rand glared at him and immediately stood up with a communicator ready to go out and try it out. But suddenly, just then her phone rang. Her face changed and she thought of something. She took out her phone, and the note displayed on it was a person named Confinement. Sure enough, I called. Her number was obtained before being an undercover agent, specifically used for her current identity and communication with drug traffickers. So the only ones who can call her on this phone are drug dealers. I think it was because I had been out for too long, which caused suspicion, that I called. Ayn Rand's expression became serious for a moment. He glanced at Lin Qing, then turned around and left. Ayn Rand has come out. Close the door and connect the phone in the hallway. What's wrong with giving birth? Ayn Rand suddenly changed to a relaxed tone, as if she wasn't the person with a serious expression before. It's okay, I'll ask where you are. How did you go out and find a beauty salon for so long without coming back? A female voice came from her phone. I'm looking for it, it's probably going to take a long time. I'm going to take a shower and take good care of myself. I've been staying in the hotel every day these days, and I'm almost suffocating. Ayn Rand complained. She used to find a beauty salon for maintenance as an excuse when she came out earlier. Have you found it yet? The other person's surprised voice came from their phone. No. A chubby driver took me around aimlessly and took me to a beauty salon in a small alley. Can the beauty salon in this alley do maintenance? I'm so angry that I want to beat him up. Ayn Rand glanced at Lin Qing's shop and suddenly thought of this statement. Pushy ha ha ha. The other person's laughter came from their phone. Immediately, the other party said, all right. If you can't find it, don't look for it. Come back quickly. Brother Chiu just said, these days are a special period, and everyone has to stay in the hotel and can't go out. Then I have to stay. And Ran complained again, anyway, I can't stay. I can't stay either. There's nothing I can do. Alright, come back quickly. If Brother Chiu finds out you're out of the hotel, you'll be in trouble. Alright. I know, I'll be back right now. And Ran sighed helplessly, staying in the hotel every day is torture, isn't it? Don't complain, come back quickly, hang up, the other person smiled. I'm hanging up. And Ran said. The other party hung up the call. Anran looked at the phone in her right hand, her face serious again. From the phone conversation just now, it seems that Yuezi did not suspect her. However, based on what was said earlier during the confinement period, this group of drug dealers should have determined the trading location. Otherwise, they wouldn't have asked everyone not to leave the hotel. This is to prevent anyone from sneaking in as an undercover agent and leaving the hotel to report the situation. Thinking of this, Anran looked at the communicator in her left hand again. I don't have time to try repairing it right now because testing the communicator is very cumbersome. At that time, the military made special treatment and production to avoid discovering the communicator. Whether it was opened or used, there were multiple processes to prevent the communicator from falling into the hands of the enemy after an undercover agent had an accident. And now we need to go back as soon as possible. Otherwise, postpartum confinement is easy to deceive. Leader Chiu is not easy to fool. If he finds out that he has left the hotel, it will indeed be troublesome. It's possible that due to vigilance, one might directly refrain from participating in this transaction. In this way, one's task will fail. Forget it, go back first. Enron put the communicator into his pocket. In her heart, she still didn't believe that Lin Qing had fixed this communicator. After all, this is a new communication device developed by the military. If Lin Qing were really so awesome, he wouldn't be here, nor would he be driving in the basement. As for that money, let's consider it as a means of saving money and avoiding disasters. And asking him if he wants to come back will definitely delay a lot of time. If Brother Chiu finds out during this delayed time, it will be troublesome. Once Brother Chiu comes knocking on his door, it may implicate this scammer. In Enron's heart, although Lin Qing is a big scammer, he is also from China. As for how to notify the organization once the transaction location is known later. What she wants is to take a step by step and watch it, let it be fate. What if there is any turning point? Anran left. She knew that if she went, she might end up dying in the blink of an eye, but she didn't hesitate, let alone fear. Lin Qing waited for a while, but didn't see Anran come in. She guessed that she should have tried and left directly. Lin Qing didn't think much anymore. Take out your phone and look at the SMS receipt information on it. Not bad, not bad. I made 30,000 yuan in one go. If I were to intern, when would I have to earn 30,000 yuan? Lin Qing smiled. He opened the property panel again. Divine level maintenance owner. Lin Qing physical strength. 8, normal value of 10, speed. 7, normal value 10, strength. 7, normal value 10, level. Basic maintenance engineer points. 14 status. Store open 14 points, previously spent 1 point to enhance the signal properties of Enron's communicator. But later on, after the repair was completed, 5 points were awarded, and now it's 14 points. Keep the points for now, in case of future troubles. Chapter 9. The Battle Command Center discovers the disappearance of Enran. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In the temporarily established Combat Command Room of the Linhai Military Region, with the code name Operation to Eliminate Enemy. A man in his 50s, carrying the rank of colonel, looked solemnly at the main screen. The map above is of Dongsu District, Linhai City. The red part is a hotel. It's the hotel where Enron and his team stayed. The colonel man looked worried and asked, "Haven't you heard from the Violet yet?" "Report, no," said the technician on the side. The colonel's man's expression became even more worried. "His name is Fang Weihai, and he is the highest-level leader of this revenge operation. A few days ago, Violet, who was undercover in the drug trafficking gang of Brother Cho, suddenly disappeared from a communication, and even the signal from the communicator disappeared after that. Before disappearing, they only heard a bang. So, I don't know if the communicator was broken or if the Violet was killed. It has been 4 days since that time passed, which means there has been no news from the Violet for 4 days. If this continues, this mission will end in failure." Fang Weihai's brow furrowed tightly. He was thinking about whether to let someone dress up and enter this hotel to see if the Violet was still alive and what had happened. But suddenly, at this moment, the technician saw that the signal light representing the Violet communicator was on. He thought he was dizzy, rubbed his eyes, and confirmed that there was no dizziness. It was on, and the signal for the Violet communicator appeared. He immediately said to Fang Weihai, "Report, the signal from the Violet communicator has appeared." "Really?" Fang Weihai was startled in his heart and immediately looked at it. Sure enough, the signal light representing the Violet communicator was on. This indicates that the Violet is still alive. Just what exactly happened? Why does the signal of the communicator disappear for so long? Fang Weihai couldn't figure it out. He couldn't have thought that the communicator was broken and Violet had it repaired again. Because it is impossible for anyone in the public to repair this type of communication device. Quick! Contact Violet and ask her what happened. Fang Weihai said. Yes. The technician was about to contact. Suddenly, Fang Weihai thought of something and quickly shouted, "Wait a moment, still don't contact me." The technician was taken aback. "Don't you want to know what's going on?" But he dare not ask such a question. Fang Weihai frowned, just thinking that it was not normal for the signal to disappear for a few days before suddenly appearing again. And after time deduction, the drug dealers should also determine the trading location. Maybe Violet is busy at this time. It's better not to contact her, so as not to increase the risk of exposure to her. As long as you know she's still alive. Because this communicator is specially made, starting and using it requires tedious operations. Even if it falls into the hands of an enemy, it will not be so easy to restart the signal. Therefore, it can be concluded that the one using the communicator is Violet. Anyway, it's not too late to ask her again after the task is over. Thinking of this, Fang Weihai said again, "Pay close attention to the signal situation of the Violet communicator. Once she contacts home, she will immediately notify me." Yes. Fang Weihai walked out. In the past few days when the Violet signal had disappeared, he couldn't eat well or sleep. He was worried about this matter, worried about the safety of the Violet, and worried that this mission would fail. Now that the signal appeared again, indicating that the task was still in progress, he relaxed and decided to go take a nap. And everyone else, just like that, felt relieved when they found out that the Violet was still alive. Enron was unaware of what was happening in the battle command room. She just wants to hurry back to the hotel as soon as possible. And in order not to make Yuan doubt. When she left Tianhe community, she took a taxi and asked the driver to spare her some time. The driver is also the first time he has seen such a customer. However, if you have money to earn and are still a beautiful woman, why not do it? So, he took her for a while and finally arrived at the hotel where she stayed. Enron paid the fare, got off the car, and walked into the hotel. Fortunately, I didn't encounter any drug trafficking accomplices in the elevator. Return to the hotel room. She lives in the same room as Yuan. 2 people living in the same room also supervise each other to prevent each other from being undercover agents of the police or military. As soon as he entered the room, Ran said to Yuer, did Brother Chiu not notice that I was not there? No, said Yuer. That's good. Ran really breathed a sigh of relief. And in order to perform the entire set, she put on an angry look and said, that chubby driver is really despicable, wasting my time. I could have done SPA before coming back. Pushy. You can also do that in the alley, but you just don't like it, Yuer laughed. Come on, I don't want to get skin diseases. Ran gave her a white look and said with a pursed lips. Yuer smiled and brought her a bottle of water. Alright, take a sip of water to calm down. Enron took the water bottle, seemingly casual, but in reality, he glanced at it and confirmed that there were no pinholes or marks of opening. I just unscrewed the lid and took a sip. Don't say, she's really a bit thirsty. And Yuer didn't say anything anymore. She just stood by the window and saw Enron getting out of the taxi, inferring the time, which really dispelled her suspicion of Enron going out for such a long time. After all, during this period, we need to have multiple perspectives. Seeking collection, flowers, and evaluation tickets. Chapter 10. Emergency situations, testing communicators. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. And on Lin Qing's side. After Enron left, no one came to Lin Qing's shop again. After all, it's in the basement. Lin Qing yawned, but at that moment, he saw a pattern of a box in the lower left corner of the data panel in front of him. There is also a 1 character above the pattern. What is this? With curiosity, he clicked on the pattern of the box. Suddenly, many small grids appeared on the data panel. In the first small cell, there is a pattern of a bottle of potion. Lin Qing became curious and asked, System, what is this? Master, this is your reward after repairing the communicator. After repairing it, there is not only a point reward, but also an item reward. The item reward will be directly distributed to the system warehouse, making it convenient for you to take it out and store it at any time. That's it. Lin Qing nodded, take it out and let me see what it is. The words fell. With a flash of white light, Lin Qing had an extra bottle of potion in his hand. Semi-transparent, semi-metallic bottled. There is a blue liquid inside, which looks a bit sticky. This is a medicine that can enhance physical fitness. After taking it, the physical fitness can reach the level of a special forces soldier. So powerful. Lin Qing was surprised. Can you immediately think of how the rewards in the system can be bad? Lin Qing has been studying programming in college for the past few years. He has been sitting for a long time, facing the computer for a long time, and his body has already shown a sub-healthy state. So, without much thought, he opened the lid and took a sip. The taste is pretty good, a bit like orange. Quickly, Lin Qing felt a stream of heat emerging in her abdomen, then flowing to her limbs and bones. Immediately afterwards, he felt like there were small insects crawling in his lower abdomen, making it itchy and itchy. He lifted his clothes and saw 8 abdominal muscles gradually emerging from his previously flawless abdomen. Lin Qing was surprised. It is truly a system reward item. Bully. Soon all the feelings disappeared. At this moment, Lin Qing felt her body rejuvenated and her strength was much stronger than before. Even my eyesight is much clearer than before. After all, the system says it can reach the level of physical fitness of special forces soldiers. Not bad, not bad. Without the high-intensity training of a special forces soldier, you can obtain the physical fitness of a special forces soldier. The first time you repair an item, you will be rewarded with such a good thing. I don't know what will be rewarded for the next repair, Lin Qing smiled. Time flies, it's been 2 days. In the past 2 days, Ran discovered that Brother Chiu had received a special package. But she doesn't know what's inside the package. And it happened to be on that evening. After dinner in the hotel room. and ran, and about 10 of them received a text message from Brother Chiu. The content is: "Don't sleep tonight, everyone. If you have something to do, wait for notification." Upon seeing this text message, Anran realized that it was likely to be a transaction. Sitting on the sofa, Yuer sits beside her, brushing the tick-tock sound, safely looking at the information, and getting worried. "We need to notify the organization as soon as possible to prepare for this matter." "How should we notify the organization?" She has been spending the past 2 days with Yuer. "Although I am also thinking about how to contact the organization. But I never thought of a way. By the way, that communicator." And Ran suddenly thought of the communicator that Lin Qing had repaired. Although she doesn't have much confidence that Lin Qing can fix it. But there's nothing we can do now. Only by finding an opportunity to give it a try. It's better than doing nothing. As for using mobile phones to call organizations, that's even more impossible. Their phones are all bound to a special software in Brother Chiu's phone. Whoever they called, Brother Chiu's phone could receive it. Anran put away her phone and pondered how to try the communicator. Yuer has been here all along, she can't even try the communicator. Anran's heart sank into contemplation. But suddenly, she thought of something and looked towards the bathroom. "I gradually made a decision in my heart. Just wait for Yuer to take a shower and give it a try with the communicator." Thinking of this, she immediately said to Yuer, "Yuer, are you still looking? Take a shower, you'll be leaving soon." "Okay, I got it." Yuer happened to see a funny video and laughed twice. So I didn't think much about Enron's words. Putting down his phone, he took out his clothes and walked to the bathroom to take a shower. Upon hearing the sound of water flowing, Anran knew that the opportunity had come. She took out the communicator and said to herself that it was impossible to be nervous. One reason is that Yuer is taking a shower and may come out at any time. The second reason is that she doesn't know if the communicator has been repaired or not. If it hasn't been repaired, it will be ruined. This mission is bound to fail. Because she couldn't notify the organization. But Enron didn't have time to think much at this moment. Looking at the 3 signal lights on the communicator, after a complex operation and manipulation, Enron finally took a deep breath. Then, she suddenly pressed the only red button. Seeking collection, flowers, and evaluation tickets.